Hi guys, this is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the damaging effects of living a life with a narcissist. It's really difficult to wrap your mind around how someone can be, whether that's overt or covert in their narcissism. But it's really hard to wrap your mind around how they can be how they are. I'm sure a lot of you have come across a narcissist in your world. Maybe you were raised by one. Maybe your husband, your wife, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend was a narcissist. So I'm sure you have come across them. There's quite a few of them in today's society. Now, when we're talking about, the diagnostic features of a narcissist, the ones that are clinically narcissistic, I think that the profile looks a little bit different. So I'm going to be bringing that information to this channel as well. But in today's video, I want to highlight, the damaging effects of trying to live a life with a narcissist. And this is not just any old kind of narcissist. This is the clinical picture of a narcissist. So stick around on the channel because I'm going to explain to you what I mean by clinical. All right. But in today's video, we're going to talk about the damaging effects that you may have experienced with a narcissist. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed and participating, thank you so much. And for those who are new, I encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing and validating community. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Tamara, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist, but I'm also a licensed mental health therapist, and I specialize within my practice treating children, adolescents, and families, as well as adults who are dealing with traumatic childhoods, and sometimes grief and loss as well. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started with this, okay? We're just going to go ahead and jump right on in. The first thing that you are likely to come up against if you have lived a life with a narcissist or have been impacted by a narcissist is traumatic bonding. Traumatic bonding is basically the idea that you're having a hard time seeing an individual for what they are. So what do? Well, your mind kind of goes through this process of cognitive dissonance. And that process is really having a hard time holding two opposing theories in your mind at the same time. If you're holding two opposing theories in your mind and it doesn't click and it's not making sense, the last thing you're going to do is accept it right away, right? You're not going to immediately accept that thing that just doesn't make sense. So what do? Well, you cling on to the thing that makes the most sense and you totally disregard the other thing because it doesn't fit in your mind, right? Traumatic bonding is sort of that way. You have an individual who's abusing you, whether that's emotionally, psychologically, physically, or sexually. You're having a hard time, kind of marrying the ugly part of that person with the good part of that person. And you may be having a really hard time trying to, really rationalize and intellectualize why one moment they can really be the mother and father you've always wanted, and the next moment they are abusive. You're having a hard time. Or your partner can be so romantic and so charming one minute, and the next minute, you find yourself being sexually assaulted by them. So it's really hard to marry those two identities, right? So what happens with traumatic bonding is you disregard the bad side of that person and you cling on to the good. But while you're clinging on to the good, you're ignoring that this person has a very bad side of them that is abusing you, right? That's harming you, that's creating trauma. But instead of you saying, you know what, let me get out of here because this is not an okay situation, you stick around. And again, you cling to the nice parts of that person. So you may justify them, you may minimize the issue, you're going to deflect, you're going to dodge, right? And you may even go against people who clearly see that that person is abusive towards you. So traumatic bonding is pretty complicated. I'm going to be talking about that next week because you're going to get videos every day next week, guys, because I'm going to be out for Thanksgiving. So you guys have a whole week of videos coming on my channel, so stick around for that because I'm going to be talking about traumatic bonding. Okay, so traumatic bonding. The next thing is mental health concerns. When you are, dealing with a narcissistic individual, you're dealing with somebody that has this much empathy, and so you're likely to experience anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. You're also likely to have a worsening of symptoms as well, right? Let's say you have bipolar disorder. You're likely to struggle a little bit more when you're feeling pressured by the narcissist. When that narcissist is really on your back creating problems, in your life. So, worsening mental health concerns is another one. The third thing that I have seen is increased paranoia. When you're dealing with somebody who's, not very empathetic, they're not very caring, they're not careful, they're impulsive, they're selfish, very grandiose sometimes, even if it's in a passive way. I talk about narcissism, overt and covert narcissism, in this video right up here, so go ahead and check that out after this video. But sometimes the individual can come across as passive, and yet they're still narcissistic in the way that they are passive, okay? You'll understand more if you watch that video, okay? That's called the overt narcissist. Those kind of individuals can really make you paranoid because you don't know from 1 minute to the next what they're doing. And so you begin to question everybody around you. You also begin to question yourself, right? So you become paranoid, all right? The next thing is fear of emotional connection. That's the best way that I can put it for this video, okay? So fear of emotional connection. You kind of stand back off of people and you stay away from them because you're afraid that they're going to hurt you. They're going to abuse you. They're going to treat you like the narcissist did. So because of that, I might as well just stay distant from anybody who wants to love me and care for me and be a dear friend and be a wonderful husband to me. I'm going to stay away, and I'm going to stay single for the rest of my life because that narcissist terrified me, right? It's safer to hide. It's safer to reject anything that involves emotions, right? So you fear any kind of emotional connection. I can't blame you. At the same time, that's really limiting for people who have been impacted by a narcissist, okay? The next thing, guys, that I have noticed is a loss of identity. A narcissist is really like out there, they're like, bam, flamboyant, and, those kind of individuals are really hard to live around, to work around, to have a relationship with, because they are constantly in the forefront wanting that center stage attention, and because of that, you're pushed to the side or you're pushed to the back. Even the ones who come across as passive, right? The overt narcissism, even those individuals still find a way to get center stage attention. So these kind of individuals can really cause you to lose your own identity. You don't know who you are. Another component of losing your identity would be codependency, right? You're so codependent and dependent upon them emotionally and psychologically that you lose your identity to them. You don't know who you are outside of them, right? A healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, a healthy family relationship is always being able to recognize who you are within that system, whether that system is marriage, whether that system is a friendship, whether that system is family, whether that system is coworkers, right? It's a system, and a healthy system functions when everybody knows exactly who they are individually, right? So loss of identity, unhealthy situation. Okay, you're likely to experience and suffer from that. The next thing that I have seen is substance abuse and substance use and a dependency. You kind of self-medicate, and you may self-medicate in a way that feels legal to you. Hey, I think I'm going to go get a marijuana card, so that I could, smoke this stuff when I want to. Well, okay, we can kind of legitimize it that way if you want, but the reality is that you're self-medicating using substances, right? Even people who take medication that's over the counter or prescribed, if they abuse it, it's now a drug. It's no longer something that's therapeutic, right? So substance abuse is something I've seen across the board, and it's something that has impacted many of the people who consult with me, usually around the world. I've had various people from different countries contact me, and we have counseling sessions, or we do consultations, and substance use and dependency and abuse is usually what's going wrong in their world, okay? And last but not least, guys, is control issues, If you're feeling paranoid, if you're feeling depressed, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not eating well, if you're losing connection with other people because you're afraid of emotional connection, it's really easy to try to grasp for any control that you can find, and any control, that you feel that's going to make you feel safe, right? So you're likely to control your relationships. You're likely to control what you eat and how much you eat. And sometimes you may restrict so much that it becomes an eating disorder. Or sometimes, you know, you need that control so much that maybe you're a manager and you're controlling your employees, right? So that need for control is something that's likely to happen. These are all symptoms, guys. They are not normal aspects of life. They are not normal components of who you are, or normal components of your life, I should say. These are symptoms as a result of being traumatized by the narcissist. So again, stick around, guys, for the videos next week, because I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more in depth. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys. In this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around with us. I will see you soon with the next video, probably on Friday, maybe Sunday. So stick around. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.